These two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
It's a Tuesday scoop session with our friend Darren Doogie Wolfson from the 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department. You can also find his Scoop podcast, Apple, Spotify, ScoreNorth.com as well. Maybe a little reckless speculation here today. We're going to get to a mock from ESPN.com. But Doogie, welcome in. A lot of Vikings injury stuff to sift through, starting with Justin Jefferson, who, we talk about sort of tongue-in-cheek in the NFL when you have an inaccurate quarterback. Watch out for those hospital balls, right, where he's leading the receiver. I mean, it was a literal hospital ball on Sunday for Justin Jefferson.
It was. Now, really good quarterbacks occasionally make a throw like that, put their receiver in a tough spot. But you look at the last couple games, how inaccurate Josh Dobbs has been. So you pile on. Now, I presume Nick Mullens. In fact, I think we'll find that out later today, that Nick Mullens will indeed get the start Saturday in Cincinnati. But yes, on Justin Jefferson, thankfully escaped any sort of serious injury. Think about the matchup on Saturday. Jamar Chase on the other sideline. Justin Jefferson against his buddy Jamar Chase. I see Justin Jefferson on the field on Saturday. Now let's see how the next couple days go. This is not an off day, shorter week. So today is a work day in Eagan. So we'll get an injury report the next couple days. So let's see how it trends. But I see Justin Jefferson on the field on Saturday. Now, I opined on TV on Sunday night on Channel 5 here in the Twin Cities. I just wonder if at some point Justin's representation has a serious heart-to-heart with him and says, hey, okay, is it really worth putting your body on the line? Look at what just happened. Are we sure the hamstring is 100%? You need sort of, an extended period to really get that hamstring back to 100%. We get it. You want 1,000 yards, but at this point, is 1,000 yards truly realistic? Would it make sense for you to shut things down? But Justin isn't capable of that. He wants to play. He's an uber competitor. There is no denying that, having been around him enough the last few years. I foresee Justin Jefferson playing in Cincinnati.
Dukes, do we know what the nature of the injury he suffered was? Because they said chest, and my theory was they sent him to the hospital more to clear him to fly home. Because, if it's a punctured lung or something, that becomes extremely dangerous. But have we got any word on what it was as opposed to just chest? Because it looked more like initially like kidneys or back than it did his chest.
Yeah, my understanding is it's soreness in that area. So is that sore ribs, bruised ribs, something along those lines, Judd? Okay. I mean, I don't want to, go too on about that because I don't have all the particulars. It's a fair question, and I think you're absolutely spot on that the reason you take him to the hospital is to rule out anything along those lines, a punctured lung, something like that, where flying could have been very detrimental. But it's more soreness. He can put a wrap around there, right? I mean, it's probably comparable to what TJ Hawkinson has been dealing with his bruised ribs going back many, many weeks. So they can wrap it up, create enough protection where he can go out and play on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. On the quarterback front, and we will get to a mock. ESPN's Matt Miller has a mock hot off the presses here. We'll see if he has a quarterback going to the Vikings in the first round or not. But with their current stable, kind of feels like the end of the Pasternaut era. In fact, I'm kind of, we were talking yesterday, we're all kind of surprised it didn't happen at halftime. So going forward here, what do you think? What would you do just from, being around the team and talking to people? What do you think they're thinking? It kind of feels like Nick Mullens did enough. Hey, he threw the ball, made some completions. It was in rhythm. Let's get a guy in here who can run the offense. But then if it goes sideways with him, is Jaron Hall the next in line? How do you untangle this right now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to exactly untangle if it goes sideways for Nick Mullens, which direction they would go, or God forbid, if he gets hurt. But yes, I mean, all signs point to Nick Mullens being the guy in Cincinnati. You have to do that. I'm with you. I was surprised it didn't happen at halftime on Sunday. But you look at those third down throws, right? The one to KJ Osborne, the one to Jordan Addison, certainly better passes. The touch on those passes better than anything we've seen from Josh Dobbs really going back pre-Denver game. Maybe I'm missing a throw or two in the Denver game. Maybe there was one in the Chicago game, but really going back multiple weeks. But Phil, I don't know how to untangle the web if things go sideways for Nick Mullens. At that point, throw your hands up, I suppose. I mean, it's a reminder. We said it in the moment. I guess we would have talked on Halloween, October 31st, 2 days after that October 29th Achilles injury in Green Bay. We said, hey, they're screwed, right? Maybe there is a pathway to 9 victories. They can stumble into the playoffs. But we all knew in that moment, Sunday night, October 29th, any sort of thought about them making some sort of run in January, it was all gone. And now we're seeing why, like squarely why all that is coming to fruition. But hey, right? I mean, great week, right? Packers lose. Declan, are you queuing up Packers fan line, right? Packers lose. Oh, yeah. Rams lose.
We got some fan lines.
Seahawks lose.
That's a good
There's
weekend.
still a very logical pathway to 9 victories. To me, 9 victories gets the Vikings in the playoffs. Heck, it may set them up for a game in Detroit, right? So you go to Detroit to finish the regular season. Then you may go right back to Detroit that next week. To me, that would be a favorable matchup. If it's all about besting last year, you can win a playoff game if you're playing in Detroit opening playoff weekend. But thereafter, season done.
The incredible thing, the thing that's become super intriguing is that this, in some ways, has become such a fun gong show that you could be looking at a battle for a division title still. Like that's the nuts thing. Detroit has dropped off. Detroit's not playing great. Detroit, quite frankly, should have been swept by the Bears. And so like we can joke, and yeah, the Vikings quarterback wise are in a tough spot, but this thing is long from done. And as we discussed extensively, Dukes, on PD yesterday, with this defense, it's going to keep you in games. So this is really, really intriguing. It might not be pretty and aesthetically pleasing, but it's going to be a race where I don't think that last week, the final game in Detroit, is going to be a game where anyone for Detroit is probably resting.
Also, real quick,
go down to it.
Detroit's schedule. So the Vikings in Detroit have 4 games left. Obviously, it's half of those games, 2 are against each other. In the other 2 games for the Vikings, they play, and these aren't gimmies. The Vikings lost at home to the Bears. So the Vikings can lose any game. Don't get me wrong. But the Vikings in the other 2 games play a feisty Cincinnati team with weapons on the road that's won games without Joe Burrow, right? And then they play the Packers, who I know looked like garbage last night, but the Packers have played a lot better, and they could beat the Vikings. The Lions get, however, the Broncos, who I think are probably better than either of those teams I just mentioned that the Vikings are going to play, and then at Dallas. So to me, both teams could slip up in these games, but Detroit has a decidedly harder schedule in the last month here than the Vikings do. So this could get really fascinating.
Well, it could. And I just can't get out of my mind what the Brian Flores defense did to Jordan Love on October 29th. I really can't. And so, yes, could the Packers win here on New Year's Eve? Sunday night football. Can you imagine the crowd? How crazy that will be at US Bank Stadium on New Year's Eve all day to party.
Yeah.
And I get it. Jordan Love has had some really good moments, especially before last night after October 29th. But it can't get out of my head. And Judd, you're right. I mean, this defense, really, how far back do we need to go? Brock Purdy, no. How far back do we need to go to say, okay, a quarterback had a really good game, or a running back? To me, it's DeAndre Swift, week 2.
Yeah.
Really, there hasn't been a running back with more than, 66 yards against this Vikings defense?
Philadelphia.
Since Swift, week 2. But when's the last time we need to go back to a quarterback and say, okay, that guy had a rock-solid game against the Vikings? Is it Mahomes?
Yeah. Yeah,
October 8th?
Mahomes was fine, but that felt like hard work for him throughout the course of that game.
Well, it was.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right, so how far back do we need to go? Has there been a quarterback, Justin Herbert, I suppose, week 3?
Yeah.
That was a phenomenal performance. So is that how far back we need to go to say, okay, Like that quarterback, that opposing quarterback just had a rock solid kick the Vikings tail type day. I think it's week 3, Justin Herbert. Yeah. I mean, Mahomes, he played fine, but that wasn't like Hall of Fame-esque Patrick Mahomes Jr. So really, I mean, no on Brock Purdy. I'm just saying, like, look how far back we need to go. This defense is legit. We know that. I'm not breaking news suggesting that, but yes, this defense absolutely gives them a chance to win all 4 of these remaining regular season games.
Weeks 2 and 3, they were a little bit suspect, and things that we were afraid could be exploited were. And then to Flores' credit, he fixed them, which I didn't think, because I came out of training camp practices saying, I don't know that this run defense is great. And then Swift exposed them. And that one drive in particular in week 2 was a disaster. And it's like, okay, this is a problem. It got fixed. And then Herbert used the quick passing game to pick them apart in week 3. And it's like, okay, that's a problem. And to their credit, they fixed both those things almost immediately.
Yes. That's why it's another reminder how catastrophic the Cousins injury is, because this is, a top 5 to top 7 to top 8 defense. This is now Brian O'Neill. Thankfully, shouldn't be an extended absence, but I don't foresee Brian O'Neill playing in Cincinnati. But with Brian O'Neill back at some point before the end of the season, you feel like this is a top 5 to top 7 to top 8 offensive line. There are so many good things about this Vikings team, but the quarterback position will hold them down. They just can't compete with the upper echelon in the NFC because of that.
So, okay, on the flip side, because I think our conversation has been a lot about, okay, could they catch the Lions, looking at the schedule ahead. Let's actually look the other way for a second, because this is the crazy thing about the NFL standings, the NFL draft order right now. 13 teams, so 40% of the NFL's teams are either 7-6 or 6-7 right now. The Vikings sit on top of that pile of 13 teams because they have the best conference record. They're 6-3 in conference, and all the other teams at 7-6 are 5-4, 4-4, or worse. So 13. If the Vikings were to slip up here and maybe they lose like 3 of their last 4 and they finish, or maybe there's a chance they could lose all 4 based on the way they played against
possible,
Bears, right?
It's the roller coaster, right? I mean, as well as the defense has been playing, the offense could be putrid. They end up losing a bunch of 1-score games. Yes, sure, it is possible. So let's say they lose all 4. How does that impact draft position?
They would go from right now, they're like, let's call it 22nd or somewhere in there. If they were to get to the bottom of that pile of 7-6 and 6-7 teams, they'd literally be a top 10 draft pick in 5 months from now. So what's more valuable to you guys? Grinding it out and crawling your way into the playoffs? We made it with Nick Mullens. We've got 17 injured players over here in the trainer's room, but damn it, we made it back to the playoffs. We get that 3rd game against Detroit, and we'll see what happens with a backup quarterback, right? Congratulations, Vikings, always clawing to 9 wins or 10 wins, right? Or would it be the worst thing? I'm just saying, would it be the worst thing if they were to, in a feisty, competitive manner, lose the rest of their games? They're showing fight. They haven't quit on Kevin O'Connell, but man, an injury to your right tackle, your star wide receiver, let's not mess around with. The guy was in a hospital a few days ago. Let's not mess around with it. I'd almost rather have. I'm all about culture building, but I think they've proven it. Like, they fought through a ton of adversity. They didn't quit. They're building something here. If the attrition and the injuries just stacked up and they wound up with the 10th or 9th overall pick, would that be the worst thing to happen in the next month? I don't think so.
Well, okay, so let's say they end up 9, 10, 11. How much better of a chance do you have to move up for Drake May? Let's just say Drake May is the quarterback that they identify. Goes back to what I said last week. I was in the presence of somebody who reminded me, don't forget how aggressive Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah is. When he sees something he wants, he will make every effort to go get it. Doesn't mean it'll get completed, right? But how much better of a chance, right? So let's say they identify. Let's just play this thing out. Drake May, North Carolina quarterback. He made it official yesterday that he is declaring for the draft. That is the quarterback the Vikings want. If you're at 10 or 11, how much better of a chance do you have versus if you're at 20, 21, or 22.
At 21, 22, zero chance to move up 20 spots, I think, unless you want to give up 4 future first-round picks or something absurd. It gives you a chance, actually. And the other thing, too, is let's say you can't move up from, let's say 10th or 11th, that you can't move up to second to get Drake May because those are just quarterback desperate teams. Well, then it would at least give you a chance to stand pat and draft the 3rd or 4th quarterback off the board, or only have to move up like 3 spots or 4 spots to get the 3rd quarterback off the board instead of 13 spots or 14 spots or something crazy.
I just think it's popular right now to think that like the 3rd quarterback goes off the board, pick 8, pick 9, pick 10. I just wonder in the moment of late April if it's more like, okay, Caleb Williams, Drake May, they go top 5, Williams likely 1, May somewhere thereafter, maybe as high as 2. But then the next quarterback, whoever that is, Nick's at Oregon, Daniels from LSU, McCarthy from Michigan, Penix from Washington, whoever that next guy is, maybe I'm leaving out a name, whoever that next guy is, does he truly go top 10? Or can you secure that guy at 18, 19, 20, 21, 22? I just wonder that, okay, there's 2 clear cut, but that 3rd quarterback, you may not need to be top 10.
Yeah, but you know what, Dukes, to your point, the pro days and combine ordinarily change that. Like I would expect the 3rd guy to be top 10. It might be towards the back end, but yeah, I mean, if the Vikings season comes to an abrupt end because of all the things that have transpired, and you can actually get yourself into a top 10 pick, I don't think personally from a business decision, that's a tough question, because you're not going to win playoff games with this current offense. And I don't, Nick Mullens looks like he knows how to play quarterback, but it's not like this honed perfect type of QB. So I would say if I can get a top 10 pick, put me in there and I'll take the top 10 pick. And if I can trade up to, if I have to trade up, or I can, yes, absolutely.
It would also give you, if the draft plays out kind of how Doogie is saying, it would give you the ability to actually trade back 5 spots and get a quarterback that you still like, and pick up an extra 2nd round pick or something for an edge rusher. So just, it's something to think about here as you look at the last 4 games on the schedule and the fact that there are 13 teams all jammed into this small space on the chart.
Well, I mean, I guess let's just keep riding the roller coaster, right? I mean, all 4 of these games are truly toss-up type games, right? Like you can't feel real confident about any of the 4 going either way, right? It's not like you say, okay, Saturday, Cincinnati, for sure loss, right? That's a toss-up game. They're all toss-up games, right? So I guess let's just let it play out. But I hear both of you that to me, if the end game is at best, to me, it's 1 playoff win. So what's the trade-off there? I'm with you, Phil. Culture, all that stuff. They're in a good spot that you're better off picking 10 compared to 21. You have sold me on that.
I feel like it would be more of a plausible possibility that they would lose their last 4 if you flipped it and the defense was not good like a year ago, because the one thing that this defense is going to do for these last 4 games, unless things change drastically, and I don't expect it, is hold you in every single game. Like that Bears game. Like the Bears game's an inexcusable loss because you gave up 12 points. So like, and I mean, my God, you beat the Raiders 3-rip because you gave up 0. So I feel like you're going to stumble your way into like 2 wins because this defense is going to keep you in games. The games are ugly to watch, but if you're the Vikings, you're going to have a chance. And eventually, you know what? This defense is going to score a few touchdowns too. Like they got to be right on the precipice, right? They got to be so close to scoring a touchdown or 2, because I mean, they're confusing QBs. They're doing everything it takes to get like a pick 6 or a fumble return for a touchdown, other than having done that in the recent games.
Plus, the defense may be adding a guy or 2. Like in Jordan Hicks's mind, he is back. Now, I don't know if it'll be the Lions game on Christmas Eve or the Packers game on New Year's Eve, but in his mind, and I get it, there's still some thresholds he needs to meet. Like in this moment, you can't just declare, okay, Jordan Hicks back on December 24th. But I'm just telling you, in his mind, the way he's processing things, he is back this month. It's not week 18 in Detroit. It's before that. Marcus Davenport is out of the walking boot. high ankle sprain. It was always an 8 to 9-ish week type injury, but not a season ender. Now, I get it. That's a roller coaster, just riding the Marcus Davenport situation.
I mean, if he can play 20 snaps, throw him in there. Yeah.
There's optimism. Put it this way. Here's the way to frame it. There remains optimism that Marcus Davenport can return before the season is over. I hearken back to that Carolina game. He was so good week 4 in Charlotte. There is something there. Even if it's 25 snaps a game, Marcus Davenport can absolutely help this defense. So think about those two guys being added to the mix before this season is over.
Let's do this real quick here.
I want a mock.
Yeah, I'm curious because Matt Miller is now the Todd McShay of ESPN. You know, what I'm getting at is his mocks hold maybe a bit more weight than a lot of others.
Yeah, he's moved up the internal scouting draft boards, I guess, for ESPN now. He's like number 2 behind. I think he's number 2 behind Kuiper, isn't he? Matt Miller. This is the number 2 mocker at ESPN here.
Yeah, my guy Jordan Reed is more an analyst, not as much a mocker, you know, but he's got a big role now at ESPN. Happy for Jordan. But yeah, in terms of mock drafts, Kuiper 1, Miller 2.
So here it is. This is Matt Miller's latest NFL mock draft. He's got Caleb Williams going to the Bears at number 1. He's got, I don't think he has trades here, so he plays this straight up. He's got Drake May going to the Patriots number 2. Marvin Harrison Jr., Cardinals, the wide receiver from Ohio State. Then he's got the 3rd quarterback off the board to the Giants at 4, Jaden Daniels. Interesting. I'm going to skip around. Oh, he's got the 4th quarterback off the board, 7th to the Raiders.
Ooh.
JJ McCarthy.
By the way, the Giants are picking 4, right? All Tommy DeVito does is win. The Giants still have a couple wins.
And his agent,
they're not picking as high as 4.
He suggests you do the contract now, or you know things will happen.
Yeah, Sean's a hoot. Yeah, that was hilarious.
So JJ McCarthy goes 7th to the Raiders here. And then I'm skipping around here. Joe Alt, the Notre Dame tackle, to the Jets at 9. They need offensive line help.
Grace High School. Yeah.
Yep. Little receiver run here in the teens. Okay, so there's 4 quarterbacks off the board early. We scroll down. Vikings on the clock at 22. You could either reach, and I don't know, I'm using the word reach. I don't know what their draft board looks like, but you could either take the 5th quarterback off the board or you could go in a different direction. And the Vikings choose, according to Matt Miller, ESPN.com, to go in a different direction, taking cornerback from Clemson, Nate Wiggins.
I want a mock.
Here's the write-up, and then you guys can react all you want. The Vikings are desperate for a franchise quarterback, but probably won't be picking high enough to get a top passer in this class. Maybe they bring back Kirk Cousins. Maybe they sign someone else or address it further down the board. Either way, I like them adding a top-flight cornerback here at number 22 if quarterback isn't an option. People at Clemson say Wiggins is the fastest player on the Tigers roster, and he does it at 6'2". He played his best football down the stretch of the 2023 regular season before declaring for the draft. So a true number 1. If he's 6'2" and he's very fast, obviously that would be, sort of shut down cornerback traits. If they went cornerback with 4 quarterbacks off the board.
Don't you take if you are going to do that, and you're going to stay at 22 in this hypothetical, don't you take an edge, especially if Daniil leaves? I think that has to be. I think if it's not going to be a quarterback, it has to be an edge.
Well, no? But it depends on. I mean, okay, if there's an awesome edges, cornerback and there's a drop off in edge, then.
But there's edges right behind. He's got Buffalo taking an edge at 23, kid from UCLA. He's got the Texans, the same thing. I'm just prioritizing. I'm all for taking cornerbacks, but if Blackman's for real, which it looks like, I'm just thinking that an edge might be, and that of course depends on Hunter. But let's say that you're going to bring Kirk back. Okay, now it's going to be harder to keep Hunter. Like this is where the shell game is going to exist.
It will. Although, what if I told you Daniil Hunter is back? That they will pay him. That the cap keeps going up, up, up. They have enough maneuverability that I'm just telling you, I can absolutely see a scenario where Daniil Hunter is back. I'm also not sure, especially everything you just laid out about the Clemson quarterback, vaguely know his name. Like, that's a guy that will blow away pro day, right? Like, I don't know if he gets all the way to the 20s
Yeah.
But
that's
hey,
fine.
it's early enough. We can have this back and forth. I also don't know if 4 quarterbacks really in the top 10. Really?
I mean, I think I actually disagree with Michael Penix falling out of the first round more than I think. Like, I feel like someone's jumping on him before the cutoff for a 5-year or a 4-year contract hits. I think there might be a little run at the end of the first round on quarterbacks just to get the extra, because that's the difference between a 5-year contract and a 4-year
I know, but
contract.
we thought that last year with like Will Levis, right?
Yeah.
Or we thought that the year before with Malik Willis. So somebody will fall. It wouldn't shock me.
Yeah.
I just don't know if 4 quarterbacks go top 10.
No, that's fair. Hey, before we get to the rest of Doogie's scoop bag here, a shout out to our friends at Finch Home Solutions, Judd. Finch helping you maybe with your hot tub this winter season.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, because that's the scoop. Here's the real scoop, folks. It's that Finch Home Solutions can handle and will take care of any electrical issues in your home. And as Phil just said, let's say you and the gal are contemplating a hot tub and you're thinking a hot tub would be really nice. It's getting cold outside. It's great to sit in the hot tub. Guess what? You need a lot of electrical work done to get that hot tub installed. It has to be safe. It has to be done right. Finch Home Solutions can do that. I am right now actually at their website, finchhomesolutions.com, looking at the plethora of projects that they do. Indoor lighting, panel replacement, car chargers, service upgrade, electrical repairs. They can do it big or small. Cody and his team are outstanding. Also 24/7 emergency service, 612-502-3311. Finch Home Solutions, finchhomesolutions.com. Book an appointment today. Get the experts out there. Get them to handle it. This is not a DIY world here. This is a world where you need to keep you and your family safe. finchhomesolutions.com.
Also, Zero Res is here to make sure your home is ready for the holidays. So if you're looking to deep clean your house before those family and friend gatherings over the next few weeks, Zero Res is the place that can help you. A 4.9 rating out of 5 on Google with 17,000 reviews. So that's pretty crazy. Usually you don't see like 4.8s and 4.9s with that many reviews, yet we have one here with Zero Res. You can get 3 rooms Zero Resified starting at just $129 when you ask for the Score North special, 952-0-RES or ZeroResMinnesota.com. Say you want the Score North special, ZeroResMinnesota.com or 952-0-RES. Spell it forward or backwards, it spells the same, Zero Res. All right, Dukes, empty the rest of your scoop bag here for us. What else do you have? How close were the Twins on Ohtani?
They did. A reminder, they did make every effort when he chose the Angels many, many years ago. I can safely tell you in this moment, they did not make him an offer before he ultimately chose the LA Dodgers. I know that's shocking, but they were not involved this time around. In the moment, was just texting with somebody who knows Tyus Jones real well. Tyus is rotting away in Washington. Only played 20 minutes last night. They lose by 45 points to the 76ers. This Wolves regime likes Tyus. I don't know what exactly the match would look like. Washington will get multiple offers for Tyus. They have to trade him. I know he enjoys starting, but he's rotting away there in D.C. So I just wonder, as trade season is about to ramp up end of this week, guys like Shake Milton, guys that signed in the summer, become trade eligible. How can the Wolves tweak this roster, whether it's a backup point guard? Although Jordan McLaughlin, like you see the offense flow last night with him finally back.
Shots.
That range, too.
Like
He's
it.
been working on that range.
Correct. Yes, that was fantastic. And a reminder, Jordan McLaughlin changed representation. He went with a big agency, so he thinks he can cash in a little bit in the summer. Jordan McLaughlin is not going to be back in all likelihood next year. But in this moment, can you upgrade the backup point guard spot? How good would Tyus Jones be here? And again, all I can tell you is this Wolves regime, heck, there's a lot of fans of Tyus Jones across the league, but he certainly has fans here. I just don't know if there's a logical trade match, but I was just texting with somebody close to Tyus, just saying, hey, the Wolves need to find a way to get Tyus out of Minnesota. He sent me back a smiley face, right? Because we know the Wolves have interest.
Doogie's
I just don't know how you
deals.
set up. Yeah, I just don't know how you set up.
It's not the scoops. It's the deal broker. You're like DeVito's agent.
That
Let's get
smiley
this done.
face. That
I would
smiley
take the
face to
commission.
me is a green light. It's a yes.
Yep, that's a yeah. I'll be on the horn right now to the Wolves. We'll get this done.
I just think it's really hard. Like Monty Morris in Detroit, a trade with Detroit to me makes a bit more sense. I just don't know how you get Tyus. Like Shake Milton, who else? Wendell Moore Jr., Josh, I don't know if I see the match where Washington says, okay, Minnesota, what you're willing to offer trumps every other offer.
It's got to be a three-way deal.
Offers.
It's got to be a three-way deal, almost certainly.
I'm just telling you, I'd love to see Tyus Jones here in Minnesota. I really would.
Shake Milton has been a little better. If Shake can show something here, how about that?
Can show something.
If Shake can show some life, maybe over the next few weeks. I don't know that he's a great fit. Even it just doesn't feel like a great fit. I guess. Could you spin him to a third team? Tyus comes back here. Third team gives up some assets to Washington. Something like that over the next couple months.
So why is that other team acquiring Shake?
I haven't thought this through completely, quite frankly.
He's just making a three-way trade, Dukes. Come on, you're brokering deals. Phil's trying to broker deals.
I'm just throwing stuff into the trade machine is what I'm doing.
Well, I mean, that's what they do, right? I mean, they toss out a bunch of ideas. I mean, I'm telling you, trade season plus the G League showcase is in like a week in Orlando. So a bunch of front office people will down there. So that's when it really ramps up, when all these front office execs are in the same location.
Hey,
almost
Lance
the baseball
Stephenson.
winter meetings, the G League showcase.
We got Lance Stephenson now.
Well, so,
Iowa
okay,
Wolf.
some backstory. Remember, Lance played for the Wolves years ago, but backstory, his agent was trying for weeks, calling around to all the G League general managers. Please, my client still has game left. He wants to play for you. Was pleading for somebody to bite. Finally, John Wallace, the Iowa Wolves general manager, who's also in the Timberwolves front office, finally said, it came together quick, like Sunday into, hey, he's in Des Moines as of like late last night. He'll play on Thursday for the Iowa Wolves. But like anybody who thinks, okay, like the Wolves have this open roster spot, Lance Stephenson is going to play a few games for the Iowa Wolves, then sign with the Timberwolves. No, I'm not saying like zero chance. Let's see how Lance looks. But like, just know his representation was trying for weeks upon weeks to land Lance anywhere in the G League. It wasn't, hey, he has to be in the NBA. He just wants to play merely in the G League. Somebody sign him. Finally, on Sunday, the Wolves took the bait.
All right. Oh, we got it back.
33.
Let's make it happen. He was a shutdown defender there for a while, blowing in people's ears.
He's the guy that blew in LeBron's ear, right?
You know what? To his credit, I mean, he carved out enough of a career, earned enough money, right? I mean, he's a name, right? The name resonates, so that's fun. But, like, don't make, like, this leap, because I got a bunch of mentions on X/Twitter saying, hey, are the Wolves about to sign Lance Stephenson? Is this a sign? They're adding him to the Iowa Wolves for the inevitable move to sign with the Timberwolves. No. Like, long way to go to get to that point. By the way, watching last night's game, Phil, tell me if you agree with this. I would not want to see the New Orleans Pelicans in April. So if the Wolves are the 1, 2, or 3 seed,
I would love to.
You don't want to see New Orleans as the 6, 7, or 8.
I would love to, because there's no way Zion plays all 7 games of a 7-game series.
Well, maybe not. Sure. That whole team. That is just a fair comeback. Yes.
If you get full strength, right? Pelicans are one of the 5 best teams in the NBA, I think.
I love them. Like, Jordan Hawkins can't even get off the bench right now. Really good rookie. Like, he doesn't even play for New Orleans. They go a legit, to me, 13 players deep. I'm just saying, whatever New Orleans looks like in April, hey, you're right. Zion, hey, can CJ McCollum stay healthy? There's a lot of injury question marks there in New Orleans. But if they have a fully healthy roster, I'm just saying I would not want to play them in the first round of the playoffs. Now, hey, the comeback to that is Anthony Edwards. How much of a difference maker is Anthony Edwards? The Wolves still can't really figure out their offense with Anthony Edwards out. So he is such a difference maker that with the Wolves having home court advantage in this hypothetical matchup, that the Wolves are on their way still, to me, even after last night, on their way to a top 4 seed in the Western Conference. So the Wolves will have home court advantage in the first round minimum, that you feel like with a fully healthy roster. Jaden McDaniels now back, Jordan McLaughlin back, Anthony Edwards okay come the playoffs, that you would take the Wolves' chances against the New Orleans Pelicans. I just don't know. I mean, who has a matchup for Zion, right? But in the Wolves' case, or even Brandon Ingram, like, Jaden might have been a little off last night, but I don't know if Jaden guards Brandon Ingram particularly well. Then CJ McCollum is such a good shot maker. I'm just telling you, I would not want to see the Pelicans in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah. There he is, Darren Doogie Wolfson.
Dawson Garcia out tonight. I don't know if that's out there or not, but the Gophers have a bit of a, I guess it would be end of semester finals break after tonight's game against IUPUI or ICUP, whatever it is. Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis.
IUPUI.
So it's a game at Williams Arena. So Dawson Garcia out tonight, ankle injury. I'm told his rehab is going well. The next meaningful game for the Gopher basketball team isn't until early January against Michigan. So he's got some time to rehab that ankle. Also, I texted with Joe Rossi, who's now the Michigan State defensive coordinator. This wasn't any sort of falling out. Sure, money has a lot to do with it, but it's also, you look at Michigan State's recent history, coordinators going on. Like Joe Rossi wants to be a head coach, that there may be a more logical pathway to becoming a head coach, being the Michigan State defensive coordinator versus staying here. But he certainly is getting a raise to go to East Lansing. But he told me it was a very tough decision. There wasn't any sort of falling out with PJ Fleck or anything like that.
There it is. Darren Doogie Wolfson, 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department. We'll see you on Thursday, Dukes.
All right, and maybe by the time we talk on Thursday, maybe we'll have some Twins news. I mean, the trade talks continue. I still think Jorge Polanco ends up elsewhere. So to me, it's when, not if. But this thing may drag into January. It's been such a slow go. But I'd like to think at some point, one of these many trade talks, whether with Toronto, Seattle, some other teams, one of these trade talks actually comes to fruition.
Yeah. January sounds good. There he is, Darren Dewey Olson. We'll see you on Thursday.
All right,
for
boys.
some reckless speculation. Minnesota sports with Mackey and Judd.